First of all, for YouTube, this video is just my own ideas, purely theoretical, philosophical, and for entertainment purposes only. Now, this is an idea for a script, or it's a fantasy conversation that you might have with a beginner, a mainstream believer, the average person on the street. And it might go something like this. You see, I might start by asking them, where does the bank get its money from? So then they'll probably say something like, well, we deposit our money into the bank. So that's where it gets its money from. Then I say, okay, but where did we get the money from in the first place to deposit into the bank? And then they'll have to say, well, the bank created it. So then I would say, well, okay, so the bank created the money and then it gave it to us. Now, did it give it to us or did it lend it to us? And they'd think about it and say, well, they lent it to us. Okay, so the bank created some money and lent it to us. All right, and then we took that money and deposited it back into the bank. Is that right? Yes. So now you've got a savings account, a deposit in the bank, and you are saying that is savings. Is that right? Yes. Well then, is that money not just the same money that the bank lent you in the first place? Yes. So really what you think is a savings account is still just the original money that the bank has lent to you. Yes. You see, all money is created by the bank and is lent to us by the bank. Not given to us, they lend it to us. So all money is owed back to the bank. All of it. We all owe the bank. Whatever money we think we have. So that's the first thing. Now this goes a bit further. So then I would say, okay, all right, so the bank creates money. But on what basis? What is the basis on which the bank creates money? So then they'll have to say, well, assets, gold. So we say, okay, the bank creates money on the basis of gold. So where does it get the gold from? Well, they'll have to say, well, we deposit the gold into the bank. So I say, okay, so we have gold, it's our gold, we deposit it into the bank, and then the bank creates some money. Is that right? Yes. So then the bank, does it give us the money or does it lend us the money? Remember, I asked this before. So now think, well, it lends us the money. Okay, so the bank has taken our gold, created money, and then lent it to us, so we must give the money back. Is that correct? Yes. All right, so when we give the money back to the bank, does that mean we should get our gold back? They should give us gold. Yes. Okay, fine. You deposit your gold in the bank. The bank creates some money. Now, do you think they should be giving you that money or lending you that money? You see, you have given them the gold. That's your property. So now in exchange, they should give you the money. That money now will be your property. The gold is your property, so the money is your property. In which case, how can the bank lend it to you? The bank cannot lend you your own property. You see, really, it means the bank has taken ownership of your gold. It's theirs now. It now belongs to them. They can create some money, and then they can lend you the money, and you must pay them back. If it was still your gold, they would have to give you the money. It's your gold, therefore it's your money. That's it. Now, if you ever wanted the gold back again, if you brought all the money back, then they would give you the gold. But you don't have to bring the money back. It's your money. It's up to you. If you decide you want the gold, then you would give the money back to the bank. but the bank has lent it to us. That means they have assumed ownership. And we didn't realise this. But when we deposited our gold in the bank, we gave it to them. Because otherwise, how could they assume that they could lend it to us? They can't lend us our own property. So the next thing I might say, we go to the next level, I would say, so when the bank lends you some money, it lends you the money, you have to repay the money, but it will also charge you interest. Is that right? Yes. So now the bank has created some money and lent it to you, but it is now expecting you to repay that money and then plus interest. Has the bank created the money for the repayment of the interest? Now they'll have to think about this. They won't know. Think about it. If the bank can only create money on the back of collateral, i.e. gold, it can create, let's say you give it a bar of gold and the bank creates $100,000. And then it lends you that money. Now it should give it to you, but it lends you that money, but you must repay with interest $150,000. Has the bank created that extra $50,000 that you can repay it? And they'll have to think about it. And the answer is no, because how could it have created that extra $50,000? It must have collateral on the back of which it can create it. So it cannot create that interest, the money that it is demanding from you. It's a trick. You see, now you have to repay the money plus interest. But where do you get it from? You have to go out to all the other people who have got money. But all of those other people are also chasing the interest. But the bank has not created it. So you've got this arena of scarcity, everyone chasing interest that the bank has not created. But remember, if we repay the money, we should get back our gold. But remember, because of interest, we always owe the bank more money than there is in existence. If the bank creates the money on the back of gold, $100,000, but now it is demanding $150,000 from you to pay back in order to get your gold. But it has not created the extra $50,000. Therefore, you can never get the money to repay the bank and get your gold. So now, none of us can ever get the gold. We can never get it back. It gets worse than this, because now we know that the money is not connected to gold. Okay, everyone knows that now. So they don't have to have gold for money. So now, how does the bank create money? On what basis? It's not gold. We know that we've gone off the gold standard. These paper notes have got nothing to do with gold. But what is the basis of their creation? How can the bank just create it? Now they might say the state does it. No, this is now the state. The state creates the money. Okay, so the state decides to print some money. Is that right? Yes. Now if the state can print money, they can just spend it. Is that right? Yes, they'll have to think about it. Now, and if the state can print money and just spend it, then why do we need to pay any taxes? Why do they need money off us? If they can print money, they can just spend it. They don't need any money from us. So then they'll have to say, okay, so the state can't print money. All right. So in which case, who is printing the money? Well, that must be the bank. Yes. The state will ask the bank to print some money. Now, this is exactly the same thing as us going with gold. We give you some gold, you give us some money, but they lend it. They should give it. Now, the state goes to the bank, asks for some money, But the bank has to say, well, where's the gold? What have you got? There's no gold anymore. What is the state giving the bank as collateral? It's credit. Credit means the promise of future work. There's nothing else left now. There's no assets, no gold. There has to be some collateral. It's the promise of future work. You're promising, the state is promising that all of us will do the work to repay the money that the bank is creating for the state. That's the collateral. There can be nothing else. Now, not only that, remember, the bank will charge interest. So let's go back a step just to make this really clear. So the bank will need collateral before it can print money. So you go to the bank, but now there's no gold, no assets. What is the collateral? The only thing is a promise. You have to say to the bank, write it on a piece of paper, I promise to do 30 years of work. Now here, hold this promise. And then the bank's supposed to give you the money, just like the gold. Your promise is worth gold. Same thing, or it should be. So you give your promise to the bank would create some money, yes. Now the bank is supposed to give you that money. That's your money now. You've given them a promise. That's your promise. And now they've created some money, which is your money. So they have to give it to you. Think about it. But they don't give it to you, they lend it to you. Now what's supposed to happen? Okay, if they lend it to you, you have to repay it. But when you repay it, you see, just like the gold, any given moment, if you give the money back, they're supposed to give you back the gold. But now if you give the money back, they're supposed to give you back the promise. They're supposed to give you back the promise. It's the same as gold. So they take your promise and they assume ownership. Oh, that's mine now. You have given it to me. Then they create some money and lend it to you. So now you must pay it back. But even so, if you pay it back, then you're supposed to be able to get back your promise. You're supposed to be able to get it back. And we're supposed to ask for it. We can still ask for it. When you repay your loan to the bank, you should be able to say, can I have my credit back? Can I have my signature back? They won't give it back to you, but they're supposed to, just like gold. So essentially, the collateral, just hear me out, the collateral that the banks use for money used to be gold, but now it's slavery. And this is facilitated by the state, because the state is the one that asks for the money from the bank to run all of us, all the people. But if the state is looking after all of us, the people, it has expenses. So it has to charge us for its expenses. What are the expenses of the state? Well, the state has borrowed the money from the bank. The bank has asked for repayment of that money plus interest, and the interest where it goes on and on forever. At that point, the expenses of the state have to be taken by us. The state can say, yes, we've signed up 20 million people to pay tax. Therefore, we've got the collateral, the promise of future labour, to offer to the bank. But now the bank assumes ownership of that collateral, all the people, it assumes ownership because it then lends the money to the state. And the state then has to repay the money plus interest. So thank you so much for listening. Please do like, subscribe and share the video. Get this one out there. Let's see what people think of it. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in any of these other videos here.